They smile when you succeed. They clap when you win. They say all the right words. But behind that smile, behind those applause, behind those words, something dark is hiding. What if I told you that some of the people closest to you are secretly waiting for your downfall? Not openly, not obviously, but quietly, patiently, desperately. They don't want you to fail because they hate you. They want you to fail because your success reminds them of their own failures. Today, we're going to expose the dark signs that someone around you is secretly hoping you fall. These signs are subtle, they're hidden, and most people miss them completely. But after this video, you will never unsee them again. Stay until the end, because the final sign is the most dangerous one of all. Welcome back to Psyvenix. If you're new here, this is where we dive deep into the dark corners of human psychology. We expose what society hides. We reveal what most people refuse to accept. Today's topic is uncomfortable, because we're not talking about obvious enemies. We're not talking about people who openly hate you. No, we're talking about the hidden ones. The ones who sit at your table. The ones who know your secrets. The ones who have access to your life. The ancient Stoics understood something powerful about human nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." What does this mean? It means most people are driven by emotions they don't understand. Jealousy, envy, resentment. These are not logical emotions. They are insane emotions. And most people are slaves to them. When you succeed, when you grow, when you evolve, you become a mirror. And that mirror reflects back everything they are not. That reflection creates pain. And some people would rather see you fall than face that pain. Let's begin. The first sign is so subtle, you probably dismiss it every single time. But once you understand it, you'll realize how often it happens. When something good happens to you, pay attention to their reaction, not their words, their energy. Someone who truly supports you will match your excitement. They will amplify your joy. They will celebrate like it happened to them. But someone who secretly wants you to fail, they do the opposite. They downplay. You get a promotion. You share the news excitedly. They say, "Oh, that's nice." But you know, more responsibility means more stress. You buy a new car. You're proud of your achievement. They say, "Cool, but maintenance on those is expensive. Hope it doesn't break down." You start a business. You're taking a risk on yourself. They say, "Most businesses fail in the first year. Good luck though." Do you see the pattern? They can't just say congratulations. They can't just be happy for you. They must add something negative. They must inject doubt. They must reduce your joy. Why do they do this? Because your win creates pain in them. When you succeed, their subconscious screams, "Why not me? Why them? What's wrong with me?" That pain is unbearable. So they reduce your win. They shrink it. They make it smaller. Because if your success is small, their failure feels smaller too. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When someone downplays your wins, don't react with anger. React with awareness. Now you know who they really are. And that knowledge is power. But downplaying your wins is just the beginning. What they do next is even more disturbing. Before your success even happens, they're already trying to stop it. Not obviously, not directly, subtly. Pay attention to what people say when you share your dreams. When you talk about your goals. When you mention something you want to achieve. A true supporter will encourage you. They will add fuel to your fire. They will believe in you even when you doubt yourself. But someone who wants you to fail, they plant seeds of doubt. You say, "I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel." They respond, "YouTube is so saturated now. It's almost impossible to grow. You'd be wasting your time." You say, "I want to write a book someday." They respond, "Do you know how hard it is to get published? Most books never sell more than 100 copies." You say, "I'm going to start working out and get in shape." They respond, "You've said that before. Remember last time? Just be realistic about it." They disguise their discouragement as being realistic. They disguise their sabotage as caring about you. They disguise their jealousy as looking out for you. This is called covert aggression. They can't openly say, "I don't want you to succeed because it makes me feel bad about myself." So they hide it. They wrap their poison in pretty packaging. They make you think they're helping when they're actually hurting. There was a young man who wanted to become a doctor. Everyone around him said, Medical school is too hard. You're not smart enough. Just get a regular job. He listened to them. He gave up his dream. Years later, he discovered that one of the people who discouraged him the most had secretly applied to medical school himself. He wasn't protecting the young man. He was eliminating competition. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." How much time have you wasted because someone planted doubt in your mind? How many dreams have you abandoned because someone disguised their jealousy as concern? But there's something even darker they do, something that reveals their true nature completely, and it happens at the worst possible moment. When you fall, watch who shows up, not to help you, but to watch. Life will knock you down sometimes. That's inevitable. You'll fail. You'll lose. You'll struggle. These moments reveal everything. Because when you're down, masks fall off. A true friend feels your pain. They hurt when you hurt. They want to help you rise. But someone who secretly wants you to fail, they come alive. You lose your job. You're stressed, scared, uncertain. They say, "Well, I kind of saw that coming. That company was never stable anyway." But their eyes are bright. There's an energy in them that wasn't there before. Your relationship ends. You're heartbroken. They say, "I never thought they were right for you anyway." Honestly, I'm not surprised. And they want details. They want to hear everything. They feed on your pain. Your business fails. You've lost money, time, hope. They say, "This is why I told you it was risky. At least now you can get a real job." And somewhere in their voice, there's relief, satisfaction, almost joy. This is called Schadenfreude, a German word meaning pleasure derived from another person's misfortune. It's one of the darkest aspects of human nature, and it exists in more people than you want to believe. Why does your pain bring them pleasure? Because when you fall, the gap between you closes. When you were succeeding, they felt inferior. They felt left behind. They felt like failures. But when you fail, suddenly you're on their level again. Suddenly they don't feel so bad about themselves. Your pain is their medicine. Marcus Aurelius observed, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" When you realize someone celebrated your failure, you will feel anger. But don't let that anger consume you. Use it as information, as clarity, as power. Now you know who should never have access to your life again. But what they do with your personal information is even more sinister. Every secret you share becomes a weapon in the wrong hands. When you trust someone, you open up. You share your fears, your insecurities, your past mistakes, your private struggles. This is natural. This is human. This is how connection works. But with the wrong person, everything you share will be used against you. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually, when it hurts the most. You once confided that you felt insecure about your intelligence. Years later, during an argument, they say, "Well, you've never been the smartest person anyway." They aimed for the wound you showed them. You shared that you had a difficult childhood. Later, when explaining your success, they tell others, "Well, they're overcompensating because of their childhood trauma." They reduced your achievements to your pain. You admitted you were afraid of failure. When you're about to take a big risk, they say, "Are you sure? Remember how scared you are of failing." They weaponized your vulnerability. This is psychological warfare, and you gave them the ammunition. People who want you to fail collect information like weapons. They file away every weakness, every fear, every insecurity. They wait for the right moment. And when you're rising, when you're about to succeed, when you're at your most vulnerable, they strike, not with fists, with words. Words that cut deep because they know exactly where to aim. Epictetus warned, "Keep silence for the most part, and speak only when you must, and then briefly." The Stoics understood the danger of oversharing, not because vulnerability is weakness, but because not everyone deserves your vulnerability. From now on, practice selective sharing. Before you reveal something personal, ask yourself, has this person earned my trust? Have they proven themselves with smaller secrets? Would they protect this information like I would? If the answer is no, keep it to yourself. But there's a sign that's even harder to detect, because it looks exactly like support. The most dangerous enemy is the one pretending to be your friend. Some people who want you to fail are smart enough to hide it completely. They don't downplay your wins obviously. They don't discourage you directly. They don't celebrate your losses openly. They pretend to be your biggest supporters. But their support is hollow. They say they support your goals, but they never actually help. They're always busy when you need assistance. They're always unavailable when you need resources. They're always forgetful when you ask for a favor. Their words say support. Their actions say sabotage. They offer advice, but the advice is always slightly off. Just enough to sound helpful. But if you followed it, you would fail. They recommend the wrong strategies. They suggest the wrong timing. They point you toward dead ends disguised as opportunities. This is called covert sabotage. They maintain the image of being your ally, while quietly undermining you. Why? Because openly opposing you would expose them, but secretly sabotaging you lets them destroy your success while keeping their mask on. If you succeed despite their bad advice, they take credit for supporting you. If you fail because of their bad advice, they say, "I told you so," with fake sympathy. They win either way. Here's how to spot fake supporters. Track their actions, not their words. Make a mental note every time they say they'll help. Then track how many times they actually follow through. True supporters follow through. Fake ones always have excuses. Also pay attention to their advice. Does their advice align with your goals or subtly redirect you? Do they suggest things that actually help or just sound helpful? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply this standard to others. Watch if their actions are right. Listen if their words are true. When actions and words don't match, believe the actions. There's another pattern that reveals hidden jealousy, and it's something almost everyone does, but few understand why. Imitation is not always flattery. Sometimes it's war. Watch what happens when you try something new. You start a project. You develop a style. You pursue a path. Shortly after, they do the same thing. At first, you think, maybe they're inspired by me. That's nice. But then it shifts. They don't just copy. They compete. They try to do it better. They try to outshine you. They try to take what you built. You start creating content. Suddenly, they start creating content too. But they don't just create alongside you. They target your audience. They use your ideas. They try to replace you. You develop a new skill. Suddenly, they're learning the same skill. But they don't celebrate learning together. They compare constantly. They need to be better than you. You change your style. Suddenly their style changes to match. But it's not admiration. It's competition disguised as imitation. This reveals something deep about their psychology. They don't have their own vision, their own path, their own identity. They only know how to define themselves in comparison to you. So when you succeed, they must succeed the same way. When you rise, they must rise the same direction. They can't just be happy for you and pursue their own path. They must follow your path and try to beat you on it. This is called mirroring rivalry. They mirror your choices because they lack original vision. Then they turn that mirror into a competition because they can't stand you being ahead. It's not inspiration. It's obsession. It's not admiration. It's envy disguised. Seneca advised, associate with those who will make a better person of you. People who copy and compete are not making you better. They're draining your energy, stealing your ideas, turning your journey into a race you never signed up for. Distance yourself. Your path is your own. You don't need someone running beside you trying to trip you. But the final sign, the one coming next, this is the most dangerous of all, because this one happens in complete silence. The most deadly attacks make no sound. Some people who want you to fail are masters of silent sabotage. They never say a negative word to your face. They never openly discourage you. They never visibly celebrate your losses. But behind closed doors, they work against you. They speak to others about you, not with praise, with subtle doubt. Yeah, they're doing well, for now. Let's see how long it lasts. They got lucky with that opportunity. It wasn't really skill. I hope they can handle the pressure. I worry about them sometimes. They plant seeds of doubt in others' minds about you. They hear about something that could help you, and they stay silent. They could introduce you to someone important, but they never do. They could share information that would benefit you, but they keep it to themselves. They don't actively destroy your opportunities. They just let them pass you by. They give backhanded compliments about you to others. They're so dedicated, maybe too dedicated. I don't think they have any life outside of work. They're really ambitious, almost aggressive about it. Some people are put off by that. They're talented, but I wonder if they're emotionally stable enough for bigger roles. Every compliment contains poison. Every praise comes with a hidden knife. This is the most sophisticated form of wanting someone to fail. No direct confrontation, no visible evidence, no way to prove anything. Just silent, consistent, invisible sabotage. They maintain perfect, plausible deniability. If confronted, they would be shocked, offended. I would never do that. I support you completely, and you can't prove otherwise. How do you spot silent sabotage? Pay attention to patterns. Opportunities that should come your way, but don't. People who should know about you, but don't. Reputation damage you can't trace, but feel. If someone is always around when these patterns occur, that's your answer. Marcus Aurelius reflected, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When you discover silent sabotage, don't become a saboteur yourself. Don't descend to their level. Simply remove them. Quietly. Completely. Let your success be your revenge. Let your rise be their punishment. Now we've covered 7 dark signs. But there's something even more important than spotting these people. It's what you do after you spot them. You now see what you couldn't see before. The subtle signs, the hidden patterns, the secret enemies. But knowledge without action is worthless. So what do you do with this awareness? First, you protect your energy. Every person who wants you to fail is an energy drain. They take more than they give. They subtract from your life, never add. Identify them. Then create distance. Not with drama, not with confrontation. Just distance. Less sharing, less access, less presence. Second, you protect your information. Stop giving ammunition to people who will use it against you. Your fears, your insecurities, your secrets, your plans. These are reserved for the inner circle, the proven ones, the ride or dies. Everyone else gets the surface, the highlights, the public version. Third, you protect your focus. People who want you to fail want your attention. They want you distracted. They want you worried about them instead of focused on your goals. Don't give them that power. Focus on your vision, your growth, your rise. Let them watch from a distance while you become everything they feared you'd become. And here's the final truth, the darkest truth of all. Their hatred is confirmation. Read that again. Their jealousy, their sabotage, their silent war against you. It's proof that you're doing something right. Nobody wastes energy hating someone who isn't a threat. Nobody sabotages someone who isn't going somewhere. Nobody wants you to fail unless they're afraid you'll succeed. So when you feel their resistance, when you sense their envy, when you catch their sabotage, don't shrink. Don't question yourself. Don't wonder if you're being paranoid. Take it as confirmation. You are on the right path. You are rising. You are becoming who you were meant to be. And that terrifies them. Let it. Keep rising anyway. You now see what you couldn't see before. The subtle signs, the hidden patterns, the secret enemies. But knowledge without action is worthless. So what do you do with this awareness? First, you protect your energy. Every person who wants you to fail is an energy drain. They take more than they give. They subtract from your life, never add. Identify them. Then create distance. Not with drama, not with confrontation. Just distance. Less sharing, less access, less presence. Second, you protect your information. Stop giving ammunition to people who will use it against you. Your fears, your insecurities, your secrets, your plans. These are reserved for the inner circle, the proven ones, the ride or dies. Everyone else gets the surface, the highlights, the public version. Third, you protect your focus. People who want you to fail want your attention. They want you distracted. They want you worried about them instead of focused on your goals. Don't give them that power. Focus on your vision, your growth, your rise. Let them watch from a distance while you become everything they feared you'd become. And here's the final truth, the darkest truth of all. Their hatred is confirmation. Read that again. Their jealousy, their sabotage, their silent war against you. It's proof that you're doing something right. Nobody wastes energy hating someone who isn't a threat. Nobody sabotages someone who isn't going somewhere. Nobody wants you to fail unless they're afraid you'll succeed. So when you feel their resistance, when you sense their envy, when you catch their sabotage, don't shrink. Don't question yourself. Don't wonder if you're being paranoid. Take it as confirmation. You are on the right path. You are rising. You are becoming who you were meant to be. And that terrifies them. Let it. Keep rising anyway.